The story of Rome begins in the 8th century BCE, time when the Italian peninsula was a patchwork of tribes, warriors, and emerging civilizations. Powerful Etruscans ruled the north, while Latins, Sabines, and other Italic peoples inhabited the central and southern regions. It was a world of shifting alliances, ancient rivalries, and untamed landscapes. Amidst this setting, a legend was born, one that would shape the destiny of an empire. According to tradition, Rome was founded in 753 BCE by Romulus and Remus, twin sons of Mars, the god of war, and the Vestal Virgin Rhea Silvia. Their birth was foretold to be of divine significance, but it also posed a threat to the ruling powers of the time. The twins' fate was sealed before they even drew breath. Their great-uncle Amulius, who had seized the throne of Alba Longa, saw them as a danger to his rule. Seeking to eliminate any challenge, he ordered their deaths, but destiny had other plans. Instead of being slain, the infants were placed in a basket and set adrift on the Tiber River, abandoned to the whims of the gods. Miraculously, they were rescued and nurtured by a she-wolf, an animal sacred to Mars, under her protection, and later raised by a shepherd named Faustulus. Romulus and Remus grew into strong and fearless young men. As they learned of their noble heritage, their ambition grew, along with their desire to build a city of their own. Fate and ambition are cruel masters. A bitter dispute arose between the twins over the exact location of their city. Romulus favored the Palatine Hill, while Remus chose the Aventine Hill. The disagreement escalated into deadly violence, and in a tragic moment of fratricide, Romulus struck down his brother. With Remus gone, Romulus became the sole ruler of the fledgling settlement, Rome, after himself. What began as a brotherly dream had now become a kingdom forged in blood, a foreshadowing of the power, ambition, and conflict that would define Rome's future. In 753 BCE, Romulus officially founded Rome on the Palatine Hill, marking the beginning of what would become one of the most powerful civilizations in history. The location was no accident. It was chosen with both strategy and legend in mind. The Palatine Hill, one of the 7 hills of Rome, offered natural defenses, with its elevated position making it difficult for enemies to attack. The Tiber River provided a steady water supply and a vital trade route, connecting the settlement to the rest of Italy and the Mediterranean world. It also lay near the Tiber Island, a natural crossing point that made trade and transportation easier. The land was fertile, ideal for agriculture, and the surrounding forests provided wood and game for hunting. To establish his new city, Romulus performed sacred rites, digging a furrow with a plow to mark the city's boundaries, a tradition borrowed from Etruscan rituals. He invited outcasts, refugees, and exiles to settle there, promising them a new life. Rome was to be a city of warriors, traders, and innovators, built not on noble blood alone, but on the strength of its people. What began as a simple settlement on a defensible hill would soon grow into an empire that would dominate the ancient world for centuries. The early years of Rome were not without challenges. The city faced constant threats from neighboring tribes, including the Sabines, Etruscans, and Latin peoples, who viewed Romulus's settlement as a dangerous upstart. In 749 BCE, Romulus devised a bold plan to secure wives for his predominantly male followers by abducting Sabine women during a grand festival. This event, later known as the Rape of the Sabine Women, led to fierce conflict, but ultimately resulted in a negotiated peace as the Sabine women themselves intervened, pleading for unity between their fathers and new husbands. The Sabines were eventually integrated into Roman society, strengthening the young city's population and military force. Beyond external threats, internal strife also posed a challenge. Rome's earliest settlers were a mix of outcasts, refugees, and exiles, men from different backgrounds, many of whom had criminal pasts. Romulus had to establish order in a city filled with ambitious but often lawless individuals. To address this, he introduced a strict legal and social structure, organizing the population into curiae, political and military units, and appointing a council of senators to help govern. Another major challenge was Rome's lack of strong alliances in its early years. While neighboring city-states like Alba Longa and Veii had established diplomatic and military ties, Rome was isolated and vulnerable. To counter this, Romulus focused on military expansion, leading raids against nearby settlements and securing Rome's first territorial gains. These early conquests not only increased the city's wealth but also signaled that Rome was not just another settlement. It was a rising power, determined to carve its place in history. Rome's early governance was characterized by a monarchy, with Romulus serving as its first king. He established key institutions, including the Senate, a council composed of 100 noble families known as patres, fathers, who would play a crucial role in Roman politics for centuries. This early political structure laid the foundation for Rome's later republican system, but the monarchy was far from stable. Additionally, conflicts arose between Rome's original Latin settlers and the newly integrated Sabines, whose influence grew after their forced assimilation. The Sabine king Titus Tatius, co-ruler alongside Romulus for a time, represented a faction that often clashed with the traditional Roman elite. After his mysterious death, Romulus ruled alone, but suspicions of senatorial involvement hinted at Rome's first taste of political intrigue and assassination, a theme that would continue throughout its history. Another source of internal conflict was Rome's common citizens, who lacked the privileges of the aristocracy and struggled with land distribution and resource shortages. While Romulus promised prosperity, many lower-class Romans found themselves serving in constant military campaigns with little personal gain. This early divide between the patricians, nobles, and plebeians, commoners, foreshadowed the class struggles that would later shape Rome's political evolution. Despite these tensions, Romulus managed to maintain control through strong leadership and military success. But the foundation of Rome's political system was already set for future power struggles, class conflicts, and the eventual fall of the monarchy. The founding of Rome brought both hope and hardship. On one hand, the city became a refuge for outcasts, offering a fresh start to those who had been exiled, defeated, or marginalized from their own lands. Unlike many ancient civilizations, which were built on rigid social hierarchies, Rome welcomed warriors without kings, traders without homes, and even former slaves seeking freedom. Romulus declared that his city would be a sanctuary, asylum for all who wished to join, allowing Rome to quickly expand its population and military strength. This unique openness gave Rome a strong and diverse foundation, bringing together Latins, Sabines, and even Etruscan influences, which enriched its culture, technology, and governance. The blending of different peoples and traditions led to early innovations in law, warfare, and city planning, as newcomers contributed skills in metalworking, agriculture, and trade. Over time, Rome's promise of opportunity and social mobility helped fuel its legendary ambition. No matter their origin, could rise through merit and strength. However, this rapid growth also came with challenges. The constant threat of invasion from jealous neighboring tribes, as well as internal power struggles, created an atmosphere of tension and uncertainty. Rome was not yet a mighty empire, but a fledgling settlement fighting to prove its place in the ancient world. Despite these challenges, Rome began to expand beyond its original borders. The strategic location allowed for trade and interaction with surrounding tribes. By the end of the 8th century BCE, Rome had established itself as a significant power in the region. Romulus's death remains shrouded in mystery, with conflicting accounts of his final moments. One version claims that during a storm, he disappeared into a sudden eclipse or whirlwind, leading his followers to believe that he had been taken up to the heavens by the gods. More political version suggests that Romulus was assassinated by the Senate, who had grown wary of his increasing autocratic rule. Some historians speculate that he was torn apart by his own senators, a grim foreshadowing of future political betrayals in Rome's history. Despite the ambiguity surrounding his death, Romulus's legacy would endure long after his rule. He was deified and worshipped as the god Quirinus, symbolizing the strength and resilience of the Roman people. The founding myth of Romulus and Remus became a cornerstone of Roman identity, shaping Rome's culture, politics, and military ideals. His story was taught for generations, instilling a sense of pride, unity, and divine destiny among Roman citizens. Even as Rome transitioned from a kingdom to a republic and eventually an empire, its people continued to look back to their legendary founder as the ultimate symbol of Roman greatness. The founding of Rome was a complex interplay of myth and history, marked by both chaos and hope. From its humble beginnings as a small settlement, Rome would rise to become a dominant power in the ancient world, shaping the course of history for centuries to come. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more of this, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It will help a lot. And remember, if you move the earth, you will move the sea.